Hello everybody, it's me as always, your host Gambit896, and I'm back with another video for you guys. Today I'll be reviewing X Factor, Volume 1, The Longest Night. This is written by Peter David, and this first volume we have Ryan Sook and Dennis Calero on the artwork. And this series is published by Marvel, as you can see from the top right corner of this first trade. Some of you may know or recognize Dennis Calero, who's the current artist on iVampire, and Ryan Sook, some of you may know, has done a fair few of the covers for another of DC's new 52 books called Justice League Dark. So yeah, anyway, so just a bit of interesting trivia about those two artists. So, the story in this is set around the events after the Avengers Disassembled and House of M story arcs, where these are from a few years ago. If you don't know, basically Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch, basically went crazy when she found out that Mephisto had led her to believe that she had children. I believe the Vision was the father. I'm not really she'd had some children within one of the stories she was in, and it turns out that it was actually a ploy of Mephisto, which led her to go insane. And then during the House of M story arcs, the Avengers and the X-Men were debating what to do about Wanda's situation, and basically in her kind of paranoid, disillusioned, sort of crazy mindset, she used her reality-altering powers and said, no more mutants, which then resulted in 90% of the mutant population becoming depowered. For those of you who have been keeping up with current events, like myself, obviously you'll know that after the events of the 2012 Marvel event, Avengers vs. X-Men, you find out that this has been rectified with the Scarlet Witch and Hope saying no more Phoenix, and now basically more and more mutants are now popping up within the Marvel Universe, more so in Uncanny X-Men and is it Uncanny X-Men? Yeah, Uncanny X-Men with Brian Michael Bendis and Chris Picciolo. Anywho, so, whoops. So this first trade collects the first 6 issues of X Factor. And here we see our current team that we see get assembled in this first story arc. So we have Guido, aka Strong Guy. We have Renee Sinclair, aka Wolfsbane. We have Jamie Madrox, aka Multiple Man. We have Monet, or M. And we have Teresa Cassidy, which is Siren, which is Banshee's daughter. And we have Rich... Well, hang on, what's his name? Got it here somewhere. Richter. Richter... I can't remember the guy's last name, but it's Richter. Anyway, so the story opens up and we see that Richter is stood on top of a building actually contemplating suicide, because unfortunately for Richter, he was among the 90% of the mutants that lost their powers after the events of the decimation, or M-Day, which is what the aftermath of the House of M story arc was actually referred to in the storylines that followed. And we have one of Jamie Madrox's his dupes, or his copies of himself, trying to essentially talk Richter out of walking off the building, essentially. And there's some great character moments between him and Jamie, and some great dialogue exchanges. And here we have the introduction of Siren, or Teresa, as you can see there. There's also a really cool twist on Siren's powers, which is essentially the same as her father, as she can amplify her vocal cords to become like the banshee scream, which you'll know from the banshees in Greek mythology. But also she can also mimic a voice which will enable you to essentially fall madly for her, which is also in line with the sirens from Greek mythology, where Odysseus and his men sailed past them, and I believe, if I remember correctly, Odysseus had his men tie him to the mast of the ship, and he was the only member of the crew who didn't put, I believe it was I think it was beeswax in their ears to stop them from being tempted by the voices of the sirens or the songs, which if they did, they would have crashed on the rocks as they sailed past the Sirens' Island. But unfortunately, Odysseus was able to hear the siren song, but then because nobody could hear him, then they didn't crash the ship on the island. Anywho, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent in tonight's review for some reason. Anyway, so we have one of Jamie's dupes trying to talk Richter out of jumping off the building, and we have some really great character moments and some really great comedic moments as well from Renee Sinclair, aka Wolfsbane, about how suicide is a mortal sin according to Christianity, as Renee is devoutly religious, and there's just some really great comedic moments in the opening pages of this first issue. We also have the introduction of a very strange and mysterious character of Layla Miller. Well, there's also some really great character moments with her later on, which I'll get onto shortly. And so if basically when Jamie's dupe is explaining to Richter what's going on, Jamie has set up X Factor as a mutant private investigator or detective agency, essentially, where if people need help, then they come to the members of X Factor Investigations. And one of the first cases that the team take on is to do with a woman's sister who was run afoul of a big-time Hollywood movie star. And we also have the introduction of the villains during this first story arc, which is Damien Sr. and Damien Jr. Tripe, who are the heads of Singularity Investigations, who are essentially a rival to X Factor Investigations. And we also have the appearance of this mysterious benefactor of both Damien Tripe Sr. and Jr. And we don't know a lot about this mysterious old man, but we know that he's the instigator behind this whole thing. And there's also some really great character moments again from Siren and Layla Miller as well. We have Monet, who is the typical kind of, how can I put it, the kind of posh, snobby chick in the office kind of a thing. And there's also a really great play on the play on doesn't anybody knock in the office kind of a thing, when you just walk into a room between Richter and M or Monet, as you can see there, and then she reacts pretty well to it, but she chucks him out of the room. There's some great dialogue exchanges on the part of Peter David between these two characters. There's also some commentary on the current situation in the Marvel Universe during this time period of, I believe around, let's have a look. 2007. So probably these first 6 issues probably came out in 2006. So there's still a lot of hysteria going around about the mutant population and the fact that mutants will always be hated and feared and whatnot. So there's some really great again sort of universe building moments kind of a thing, and there's also some more really great character moments from Siren and this mysterious figure who is a little bit crazy after the events of the decimation, as you can see there. Overall, I'd have to say that the this first story arc of X Factor is really, really good. We also get some background information on Layla Miller towards the end, and there's some really great character moments between Jamie and Layla as well, where she says one day you and me are going to be married, which I thought was pretty funny. And then that is essentially where the story leaves off, and I'll leave it up to you guys to obviously pick it up and read it. If you're a fan of Peter David from his work on, I mean, Peter David's name is pretty much synonymous with his run on the Hulk. So if you're a fan of Peter David's writing, I definitely recommend you pick up and check out X Factor. Or if you're a fan of any of the characters that appear in this first story arc, or if you're looking for just a really great X-Men related book which doesn't have the main X-Men characters in it, then I definitely say X Factor is worth checking out. Overall, if I had to give this first volume of X Factor a rating, the writing and the character moments and the exchanges between the characters and the overall story telling by Peter David is really, really solid. There's also really good artwork on the part of both Ryan Sook and Dennis Calero. So if I had to give this a rating, I'd give it a very solid 4.5 out of 5. And I definitely recommend you guys check it out. And that about concludes this review video, guys. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. As always, feel free to leave a comment below in the comment section. And if you're new to my channel and it's your first time viewing one of my videos and you'd like to see more, please feel free to click the button which says subscribe down there. And until next time, this is Scambit896 signing off, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, guys.